Hi, I'm Ken Koncelik. For those of you that don't know me, I ran DeLorean Car Show from 1997 all the way through to 2016. I put on 10 shows all around the country, the largest one being Gettysburg, which is the shirt that I'm wearing. And I thought I'd give you a little behind the scenes thing of where DeLorean Car Show originated and how we pulled it off. For the most part right now we're in my warehouse where I do a lot of different things. DeLorean Car Show occupies actually a very small section of it, but we have a lot of things that we do here. A lot of things that go on at the show are done right here, and we'll give you a quick glimpse of that. So we're going to take a trip through the warehouse, and hopefully you can see what it took to put together a show. You can see DeLorean Car Show at DeLoreanCarshow.com, and look on the left hand side, you'll see all the cities we were in, and you can punch on that and see pictures in most of them. So welcome to DeLorean Car Show. All right, we're going to start off in this room here. You've seen a little pan of it, but this is where a lot of the stuff got stored. Some of the miscellaneous stuff, some of the things that I've used over the years. And there's quite a bit of stuff packed in this little room. We have what's left of all the magazines here. We have some of the props that I used. Some of the things we made for the show include pins. I have one here, it's called the Faded Asphalt pin. This was started when Ed Bernstein basically said, while others are having the shows on faded asphalt, the DeLorean Association ... And in fun, we made the faded asphalt pin. You'll see a lot of the older members with this. The newer members, you have no idea what that is. We also made a lot of watches. Here's a lady's watch for DCS, and we sold quite a few of those at the shows. We also did a lot of the stainless steel inserts for letters. This goes on your sill plate. We also make the letters themselves. We make the letters that go into the bumper, made the letters that go into your wheel caps. So a lot of that was done and sold at the shows. A lot of work went into the DeLorean Car Show, and what's here is all of the videos that we used over the years and audio for DeLorean Car Show. This was the overflow. As you can see, it was pretty thick in itself. And here we have some of the older ones. This goes back to Pigeon Forge. It has all the driving tours. It has things about people's cars, engine transmission work, installation. And these are a lot of things that we had available to us for the show, and much of it we used at the show. So we had quite a bit of stuff here that we used, and it's all still here, still intact. So I have it anytime that I want to do for future shows. And this right here I'm showing you, this was Pigeon Forge, so you can see how much work went into that, how many videos we made. Who can forget the VIN plates? We made these were one of our best sellers. People at the show just love seeing their VIN number on the plate. So we made them for just about every show. And it worked out quite well. We'll show you a little later on where those were made. Okay, we told you we talked about the magazines. We've made 16 total magazines. We'll show you where they were made in a little bit, because we actually made the magazines. As we got closer to the end, we were actually able to take some of them out and get them printed for us because the price came down considerably. But when we started, the cheapest way to make a magazine was to print our own, so we bought our own printer. And you'll see that later. The very first magazine started has my daughter on the cover, and as you go through, we have John DeLorean that you see on the second one. We had dinner with him, so he's in there, and we go on through all the car shows, and we use usually different people's cars for all of the covers. We even had the shots of Catherine DeLorean getting married in Vegas during our Vegas show in 2009, and the final cover basically had all 16 covers on it. So DeLorean Car Show basically made 16 magazines over the years, and we were glad to do it. As you probably will have guessed, I have a lot of collector stuff from DeLorean. I go down to even some of the little toys that were in McDonald's and other things. I've got just all sorts of knickknacks and stuff from the shows, the books, the puzzles. I have the Lego set, which I don't have out here. I'm going to walk across, Dare to Dream, it's 90-minute interview with Jerry Kelly and John DeLorean. I've got Hot Wheels cars, and I've got some of the old drawings. If you've been to my shows in the past, you'll notice that we had a museum, and I have over 300 pictures that are of the plant of John DeLorean and a lot of things that are historic, and that we have here still in the building. I'm not going to drag that out because that's a big pile, but you can see some of the stuff that we've collected, and I have thousands of pieces more. One of the things that I did over the years was to make parts for the DeLorean. I've made over 57 parts for the car. A lot of them were sold through either DeLorean Motor Company, PJ Grady was the majority of them, Hervey sold a lot, and I sold some of them myself. But for the most part, a lot of the parts were because there were no other parts out there. For example, this is the crumple zone. This is what happens to a DeLorean when it rusts. This is the part that goes. So I made about 70 of these over the course of time. They're very expensive because they're very time consuming. But these are the replacements when the front end of the car would rust out. And we used to do quite a few of those, and now I'm not doing too many anymore. A lot of you went to stainless steel frames and made my life easier. This is a DeLorean clock. Now what's unique about the DeLorean clock is I used the rim of one of my cars, and I sent it to Johnny from the Arizona group, and Johnny cast this from my rim and then built the clock. And he's even got the thanks for letting me borrow the wheel on the back. So you can see all the stuff is still engraved even on the back. So he went ahead and made that, put a battery in it, and the clock works fine. We're still using it today. So I have a clock that was made from one of my wheels on my DeLorean. For those of you that aren't aware, I have a DeLorean. I bought it from Charles DeLorean, John's brother. So here's John DeLorean and me up in Cleveland. It was bought from DeLorean Cadillac. And here again is the first issue of the magazine with my daughter on the hood, or on the roof. Gigawatt, my car, has been in many car shows, and according to Newt, I have the most points awarded for concourse event because it's been in just about every concourse that the DeLoreans had since 1998. Actually 1996 when I did the concourse with the DeLorean Owners Association in Nashville, plus all the times I did it, with them as well. So our show, DeLorean Car Show, also ran a concourse, and we had a set of judges and rule books for that too, and they still exist today. So Gigawatt was my first DeLorean. I have had about 50 DeLoreans. The most I ever had at one time was 11. And I lined them up in front of my house, and that was quite a scene when people are going, whose DeLoreans are they? It's like, it's mine. They go, you can't have that many. It's like, yeah, I do. But we used the cars, many of those cars that I bought were used for the raffle car. What people don't know that are new, I gave away a DeLorean at every car show with a raffle. And that helped fund a lot of what we did so I could keep the pricing down for all you that wish to attend. So we'll go take a look at some of the other things that we have here and go from there. All right, thanks. This is where I store my car, and it's available whenever I need it. And just like on the upstairs, for car shows, I make sure I have everything I need to show the car off. One thing that's interesting about this car is that the struts, I have the original struts on there. I think it's one of the few cars still remaining that have original struts. So when I go to the concourse, I have all original struts on there. They're the Stablus, and that's very hard to find at this point. And we even have our own NCT tires. If you're interested, I've got about 40 of them. So if somebody needs a set, give me a call. This room hasn't been used in a while, but this is where all the work was done. If any of you remember the Pigeon Forge logo, this is the overlays that are used to make the t-shirts. Over here we have the boxes of t-shirts that we use, and if you'll pan over here, we have the 2 heat presses that we use. This is where we make the t-shirts. And of course we take these with us to the shows and do that. This is the special tires that I use for the concourse shows. So these are the original NCTs that were on my car. They're kept out of the light, so they're still soft and pliable. I still wouldn't drive on them very far, but I do have a nice set of NCTs for the show, and they're mounted on their own rims. So everything's original on the car. For those of you that remember the plaques, we make those here too. We make the overlays and then we press them on the plaques. They simply go on the machine and it comes down and we press them. So this is the machine right here that we printed the magazines on. It's a Zante XL30. And a lot of the stuff that we did, there's remnants all over the place. Again, I haven't really been in here for probably 2 to 3 years. So we do all of our plaques and things like that. The computer here still has all the information for the car show. So everything that we had is there, and this is the die sub printer that we used. This is the printer that allows me to print and then press onto the t-shirts. So that's what that is. You'll see remnants of all the different shows here. And I believe this one here is everybody's favorite. And this is how we get them now. We print them on a bigger printer. And this is the Doc Brown t-shirt that we did at Pigeon Forge. For those of you that remember Bob Gale making the statement of why Doc Brown doesn't drive a Mustang. So this is kind of what's left. As you saw, there was another set of NCTs here. That's another good set that I've got. And I've got about 6 or 7 more sets elsewhere. But this is where everything happens. This is where I created all of the pins. Each DeLorean Car Show had its exclusive pin. And we did a deck of cards. And we did other things. So a lot of things that we sell were created right here. All the graphics were done here. We recycle parts from the DeLorean. You'll see a bunch of water pumps here. The impellers, they're all in pieces right now. So we'll take an old pump like this, we'll sandblast it clean, and we'll rebuild them. And the same thing with the brakes. We'll take an old set of calipers, which will come in like this. And when they leave here, they go out like this. We have tons of brake parts here, so I'm good for doing as many brakes as I need. This is where I store the parts. I have a lot of replated parts over here. They're kind of sorted. Over the years, it's kind of gotten a little messy because I ran out of space when I got more parts than I had space for back here. Some of these parts like here just came in and I've got to sort them and get them on the shelf. A lot of them will be thrown away if they're no good. If they can be resalvaged or refurbished, I'll go ahead and do that. But there's probably about 3 cars worth of parts in general here. I've got seats that we recover, as you can see here. One of the parts that I make is the trim that goes around the door. So I make both door seals. So here's one of them here. And we just use it right now for pretty much local people. We also make the door trim seal over here. They're in the boxes that are back over here that are kind of hidden. We also have some auto analyzing equipment that worked on the DeLorean that we used for a while, but we haven't used it, much. But I have just about everything I need here. Some of the parts are pristine, other of the parts need to be refurbished or they're used. We do a lot of the exhausts. So all these exhausts have come off of engines and cars that we've got. We sandblast them, and then when we're ready, we'll give them a light touch up and then we'll go ahead and put them on the cars that way. Instead of working with an old rusted one, we simply take off the one that's on the car and swap it. It's a lot quicker, it's easier to do these in bulk. And that's what we do to a lot of things. We do the same thing with some of the pipes. We'll take them out and we'll powder coat and refurbish them, and they'll look a lot cleaner. This is an example of one that's been powder coated after it's been cleaned. And you can see it's a lot nicer than these here. And we have a little bit of everything. We've got dashes, we've got steering wheels and air conditioning, and we do our own air conditioning here as well, because it got to be too expensive to take it out to have somebody else do. So I have about everything I need here to redo just about any part. We powder coat parts when we refurbish them or we paint them. We have a paint booth that we can do that. So everything you see here is pretty much what I use for the DeLorean. Up on top there in these big boxes in the corner, I have a whole bunch of carpets and some other things. And if you look up on the top, you'll start seeing some display cases, and I'll have my cameraman here go over to the front and get more. If you were at the car shows, you saw the museum. Well, we have 24 display cases there, and I would haul those 24 cases to whatever location the car show was. It took 2 full trailers, a partial truck, and maybe another partial truck to get them there. But that's what we put all our stuff in. That's how much items that we have for DeLorean to show. So if you take a look at any of the past shows and you see the museum, that's what we had. And we filled every one of these display cases up. And in the first show that we used all of the cases, which was Gettysburg, we had John DeLorean's golf clubs, John DeLorean's jacket, and a bunch of other things. So that's pretty much how the show gets done. With the show, we also had audio video equipment and everything else. So everything at the show we had, and we didn't rely on anybody else for what we needed. So we had 2 big screens, the projectors, everything. So it was a production show, and we made it work, and we did it with all of our own equipment, and we did it without having to tack on extra costs that if we wouldn't have gotten the equipment, we would have had to buy the stuff every year. As it was, we were able to use it. And then over here, he's going to pan around this way. You'll see our paint booth right here. And this is where we would paint DeLorean parts. Right now we're using it to clean circuit boards, which is what I do for a living. And then over here to the right a little farther, which he'll pan to in a minute, is all my body panels that I have left up on top over there. He's going to zoom in for you. But I have a lot of right, left quarter panels. I have a couple T-tops. I have left front and right front fenders. And then you missed it in the other room over there. I've got a couple doors. From the second shelf up, those are all DeLorean tires. So if anybody needs any, I've got them. A lot of them are in decent condition. They're a little hard. They're not for you to ride on, but if you want or need the original tires, I do have a good inventory of them. I also have some rims. As you can see, there's 4 there. I've got more of them, just didn't put them all in the same spot. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of stuff. And we can do all the sandblasting, we can do the painting, we can do stainless steel repair. A lot of times we repair the stainless steel panels right here. So we're capable of doing stainless steel repairs as well. This is one of our most used sections. This is where we do refurbishing of the front ends and rear ends. So we have the hub carrier, we have the bearings already in them, everything ready to go. We take off the old ones, clean them up, rebuild them. You know, we have everything we need for them. And as you can see, they're already pretty much ready to go. So we can just take off 2 bolts, slap on 2 bolts, and we're good to go. As far as the front hubs go, we rebuild them as well. And we'll attach them to the rotors, do that. We have the front end parts, anything we need here. So most of the times we just exchange them off of a car. We'll take off the old parts, sandblast them. We'll go ahead and re-zinc plate them, put them back on so they're like brand new. It's easier for us to do that than to sit there and struggle with dirty parts. And the same thing with the dust shields. I don't think anybody's seen a clean dust shield unless you bought a new one from Houston. But these are all refurbished. They're sandblasted and replated. So this is kind of what we do. Pick up foil for the distributor. Those go bad every now and again, so we keep those where we can keep a good track on them. And then we also have, we do the glove boxes. That's kind of common. And I got some speedometer parts here, and the right angle drives. And we got a couple tail light lenses and a couple shocks. So this is for when we work and we do things. This is where we'll go first. So parts that we have usually that we use a lot are right here. And that way we don't have to run to the back of where I showed you the other parts. So this is just the last part. You can see we got a couple covers for the DeLorean that are original. And that should complete the parts. Many of you haven't seen this device before. This is the Telus Carrier. This is what the DeLorean was built on. You can see the frame that's on here. That's how the frame sat in the factory until they put all the wheels and rear end and everything on it, and the chassis, and then they lifted the car off, and the Telus Carrier just went on its way. This is the only one I know that's left in existence. We refurbished it and had it working for a couple of the shows. It ran in Gettysburg, it ran in Chicago. But it's very expensive to maintain. The wheels have since rotted out, and so there's nylon wheels that need to be replaced. The batteries need to be replaced, and it's over $1,000 just for those two parts there. The batteries are about $750, the wheels are about $150 each. So we replaced all the triacs that were in the computer that were blown and old age and just not working anymore. We put in a remote control, so now we can remotely do it with a little remote car controller. Now works this thing automatically. It had a device on the back that hooked in that you had to push the button to, but the wires started going bad on that. So we made it so it's automatic. But it's been sitting here for a number of years. Again, it's a warehouse, so it's sitting. But it is the Telus Carrier, and it's really the last one that exists. Inside this box is a Hot Wheels DeLorean. I'm not going to take it out because I'll knock off the hood and everything. But this is where we bury stuff that doesn't move for a while. And so this has probably been sitting here 5 years on its own. We used to take it out and just drive it back and forth, but when the batteries went dead the last time, I wasn't going to put $750 back in just to drive it up and down the floor. So that's pretty much what the Telus Carrier is. So at least you got a chance to see that there is one in existence. They do exist, and here's one number here. John DeLorean was a little more active than just the DeLorean. He was involved in this machine, which is the DeLorean Toe Tug. This is used at airports. We bought this from an airport. It's all refurbished. The engine's refurbished. So it's all new. It's a Chrysler engine, so slant six. And we rebuilt it. It's as good as new. And it's been used at a couple of the shows. We drive this, we take it wherever we want. And actually in this building, on occasion, when we have to move big stuff, we hook it up to the Toe Tug. We painted it right here in our paint booth. And the color is close to what it was originally. When we got it, it was a gray for the airport. So we scraped through the old paint until we got down to the last color. And the last color was this, so we figured this is probably how it went out. It's got a 6-speed automatic transmission with reverse, and it took a lot to get it to running. The worst part we had on this thing was getting the power brakes to work because the diaphragm broke on it, and there was no replacement parts. So anyways, this was an attempt to try to bring together the DeLorean legend and what we needed to do. So we were trying to get things together. It would have been a nice museum if we could have kept everything going, but that just didn't happen. But now you've seen the DeLorean Toe Tug, and of course over there was the Telus Carrier. The last year, my health hasn't been quite as good, and I haven't done anything on a DeLorean for almost a year now. So maybe this will be something to kick me back into it. But at one time I did make 57 parts or 55 parts, something like that, for the car that were sold through most of the different dealers that are out there. So I hope that answers some of your questions. And Bob, it's a good thing that you're doing your show, because it'll give me a chance again to let some of your newcomers know who I am and some of the history on the DeLorean. So if you want to again see what's going on or what happened, go to DeLoreanCarShow.com, and on the left-hand side you will see about all the shows we did, and you can click on that and see the pictures. There's over 17,000 pictures. In addition to that, there's a video that I encourage you to watch on the webpage. It's on the front page. You go about halfway down, and you'll see the last show, which was in Dayton, and you'll see the group called the Fairfield Choraleers do a musical of Back to the Future, and they did a beautiful job. Halfway through is the entire cast of, or most of the cast of Back to the Future, and they all got their mini-me's up front, and they all had some fun with them. So you get to see all the cast members right there from 2016 here in Dayton. So I hope you enjoyed this little podcast, if you want to call it that, and I hope to see you next year. Bye-bye.